What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today, we are talking about the recent announcements from BioWare and its beloved Mass Effect series that they had for N7 Day, which just passed this recent November 7th. BioWare has officially made it public that they're working on a TV series for the Mass Effect series and made it clear Veilguard has come and went, as it looks like all hands are on deck for the next release from BioWare being the untitled new entry into the Mass Effect series teased all the way back in 2020. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely make sure to stick around, and without further ado, let's dive right in as we have a lot of information to cover. First things first, before N7 Day officially even arrived, BioWare and their team over on the Mass Effect side of things already prefaced this day as a more quote-unquote quiet N7 Day, since the Veilguard was recently coming out and wanted to give that game its time in the limelight, or in some cases the hot seat, depending on your opinions of the game. They did in the same announcement confirm an expedition for No Man's Sky that had a sort of crossover with Mass Effect, where you can see the Normandy and some other things over on the game if that interests you, along with bringing back Mass Effect inspired gear to Destiny 2 if that's more your speed. These crossovers with other games is a nice little tease for Mass Effect fans if they're into those franchises, but it didn't really do it for myself, since I don't plan on playing those titles or plan on going back just for the crossover events. On N7 Day, there was no teaser, trailer, or even written blurb about what we can expect from the next entry from the franchise, so that has me assuming with them listing this N7 Day as a quiet one, maybe the next one will be where we get a massive teaser, and then maybe trailer revealed for the Game Awards for the following month next year. But in news that we did get confirmed for Mass Effect, Variety got the latest and greatest scoop on that front, where they seemingly broke the story on Mass Effect getting a TV series for the Amazon streaming platform, which is currently tied to the writer who worked on the Fast and Furious 9, if you can believe it. As written in the scoop, a Mass Effect TV series is officially in development at Amazon MGM Studios, Variety has learned exclusively. Daniel Casey is set to write and executive produce the adaptation. Kareem Zreik will executive produce under his Cedar Tree Productions banner, with Ari Arad and EA's Michael Gamble also executive producing. Cedar Tree is currently under an overall deal at Amazon MGM Studios. Exact plot details are kept under wraps. It was previously reported in 2021 that Amazon was in negotiations to develop a Mass Effect TV series, but there have been no updates on the project until now. There had also been various attempts to develop a feature film based on the game, but the project never materialized. And if you guys were in tune with the rumors of Mass Effect back in 2021, it was actually heavily speculated that Henry Cavill was tied to this feature film that was supposed to happen with Mass Effect. But ever since that initial tease, we heard nothing but silence on the initial project until now. This TV series does still seem to be in the early stages, and filming hasn't even been mentioned in this initial breaking of the Mass Effect TV series, so it could be some time until the TV series is even close to releasing. I would assume it would likely release alongside, or at the very least around the same time of Mass Effect 5 to capitalize on the popularity and hype from that side of the franchise. Now when it comes to who's associated to the project of the Mass Effect series, that's where things start to get a little nerve-wracking for anyone optimistic or hopeful that this will be a great adaptation. And I say this not as a person looking to rain on everyone's parade, but someone just looking to set a realistic expectation for anyone looking forward to the project. Michael Gamble is being tied to this, which in my opinion seems like a major W for this project, since he really seems to be a part of quote-unquote the old guard of BioWare developers, where he was either a project manager or producer throughout Mass Effect 2 and 3. Which, depending on who you ask, they might say that was the tail end of the golden age for BioWare. Michael Gamble, even now, has been saying that this next Mass Effect entry is going to be what you expect from a Mass Effect title, in tone, look, dialogue, and matureness. So I'm hoping he's right on the money, and this new title brings us back into the Mass Effect fold, just like the original trilogy did. And when it comes to game adaptation TV shows, Amazon has proved it can do well with the example of Fallout's adaptation that released earlier this year. which actually did so well, they almost immediately greenlit a season 2 and are progressing with that as fast as possible. But after Michael Gambel being listed and Amazon's one major game adaptation win, the next person listed to be involved in the TV series starts to get a little dicier, as when you think of great stories, I think one of the last titles I would think is a Fast and Furious 9. Unless, of course, family is the main staple of the Mass Effect TV series, in which case it might actually be legendary. If you can truly look at the headline of Mass Effect TV series being tied to Fast and Furious 9 writer, for one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sci-fi video game story ever told in gaming, and not be a little bit pessimistic, you must be the greatest optimist of all time, the actual GOAT of seeing the glass half full. And this is not even mentioning that Ari Arad, who just produced what some people say might be the worst video game adaptation in modern times, being the Borderlands movie, is also tied to this project as well. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I gotta come up here and start swinging for Ari, because in my opinion, is low-key the GOAT, at least to me, when it comes to underappreciated movies. Now, I'm not saying that everything is a hit that this person puts out, but I gotta say they're at least 50-50 in my opinion. I mean, looking at his producer roles, some of these deserve the low ratings and just came out in a sorry state. There's no excusing them. But the 2004 Punisher movie is a classic. I showed this to my roommates in college even after they saw Jon Bernthal's rendition in the Netflix series he had, after overselling the hell out of it to them, and they loved it. Iron Man was my movie back when it released, and even before 2 and 3 and the whole Marvel universe really even was kicked off. Back in the day, I still went back time to time to rewatch it, but now after the Infinity War saga, it's seen a whole new light to this day. And when it comes to the movie Uncharted, I thought that was a good, fun popcorn movie to enjoy with anyone, even the family. He has some great guilty pleasure movies and aren't all as bad as the ratings make it seem. But like I said, some of these, yeah, they deserve the scores. Lastly, tied to the project as of right now anyways, is Kareem's Wreck, which produced the Daredevil series, which was so good that Disney's one chosen show to incorporate as soon as possible in their own image from their Netflix MCU acquisition was to make Daredevil for Disney Plus, continuing the story under the name Daredevil Born Again. Overall, there are some possibilities of it going bad. Like, what track record did the Fast and Furious 9 writer have to be tied to an epic sci-fi story of grand proportions? And will it actually surprisingly be great? And of course the question, is Ari going to be the low-key GOAT again, or will it be one of their fails? Only time will really tell, and I feel like once we see the first trailers, we'll start getting a sense of what is to really come for the Mass Effect TV series. I'll try to keep an open mind going in, but if the writing just isn't there, which of course is one of my biggest worries with anything story-driven, then it could mean Amazon goes 1 for 2 on its major video game adaptations. Let me know your initial thoughts, what direction you guys would like to see the TV series go, and at what time point you would like to see them cover in the show. Would you like it to be a prequel into the original trilogy, the beginning of Shepard's story, or events after the original trilogy? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, jumping topics but keeping it within Mass Effect, when it comes to Mass Effect's new Untitled entry into the video game series, we know almost about as much as we did upon their initial 2020 teaser trailer provided during the Game Awards, in which they essentially pulled a Bethesda, where they teased Elder Scrolls 6 while being years out from actually even being close to releasing. Now, BioWare sadly is drawing a lot of comparisons to Bethesda recently, and in the worst ways possible in my opinion. They are sadly on seemingly the exact same track from going to one of the most anticipated and best releases in the industry year after year to becoming relevant only in name alone due to their past successes. At least that's the way that I see them both now. And in similar fashion, I believe if they don't hit a massive success in their next game launches, being Elder Scrolls 6 and Mass Effect 5, their future could be in trouble. Both Starfield and the Veilguard, the developers' respective most recent releases, haven't been doing as well as they both hoped. And they're going back to some of their staple franchises that put them on the map to see if they can recapture the same lightning in the bottle that originally etched them into the Mount Rushmore of game development studios. Coming back to Mass Effect 5 in particular though, Mass Effect's game director was asked a couple of questions on Twitter or X, whichever you prefer, asking if it was going to follow the same vein of switching up the look and feel of Mass Effect like people felt BioWare did in the look and feel of Dragon Age the Veilguard. The director Michael Gamble, who we touched on earlier through the TV series stuff, stated Mass Effect is photorealistic and will be as long as I'm running it. He also tried reaffirming fans by saying, lots of people asking me about Mass Effect now that Veilguard reviews are out, and October 31st is close. Both are from the same studio, but Mass Effect is Mass Effect. How you bring a sci-fi RPG to life is different than other genres or IPs, and has to have different kinds of love. He also stated, regarding tone questions, Mass Effect will maintain the mature tone of the original trilogy. This is all I'm going to say for now. And as of recently, that's all we really know about the new entry. All that's been confirmed anyways. These are all things that sound promising and within what we've come to know and love from the series. The only thing is, if it's tying in more and more people from the original trilogy like Liara and maybe some unnamed cast members, I'm hoping it keeps some of the decisions, at least major ones, that we originally made canonical. Whether through importing a save from the Mass Effect Trilogy collection that dropped a couple of years ago, or through a decision choosing prequel for the game where we can choose what decisions we want to carry into Mass Effect 5. And as I teased earlier in the video, BioWare seemingly isn't going to be doing any major DLC or overhauls to Dragon Age the Veilguard, assumingly switching the entire team that worked on Veilguard to be all hands on deck at the studio to work and help with what they can with the Mass Effect side of BioWare, which I think is a great decision in order to get Mass Effect 5 out sooner rather than later. Realistically, I think this time next year is when we're going to get more steady news about Mass Effect 5, and I do think we shouldn't be expecting a release until at the very least 2 years from now. This game, at the earliest in my opinion, should have a 2027 launch date. But that's enough out of me for today. Let me know when you think we'll be seeing more news and the eventual release of Mass Effect 5 in the comment section down below. And of course, as always, I wanted to thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed or found it entertaining, make sure to scroll down and make that like button glow so we can reach our like goal of 25 likes for the video. While you're down there, consider subscribing as we'll be covering Mass Effect as updates come out, other AAA games throughout the year, hilarious content, and more. As always, your support through your viewership, liking, and subscribing is always greatly appreciated and helps me out tremendously against the galactic threat that is the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!